times I was not very careful. And I liked the doctor. And some other kids don't really like the doctor. And I liked going there. And I wanted to figure out all the ways that he could do to fix me up. So, when I was 2, I was spinning and spinning. I was spinning so much that I stopped. It felt like I was still spinning. And then I slipped and fell and whack! Slammed my head right on the window. And so we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "We're going to have to glue your head back shut." And I was like, I thought glue was only for gluing other stuff, not heads. I was kind of little. And so he glued my head shut, and a few years later, I was running through the house, and I was kind of not watching where I was going, and I slammed my head on the door plate, I think it's called, and I sliced my head open. Well, we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "This time, instead of gluing your head back together, I'm going to have to put a staple in it." And I said, "I thought staples were only for paper." And the doctor said, "Well, we're going to put a staple in your head right now." So he did. And taking it out wasn't the easiest job either. It hurt a lot. So, when I was 7, I was getting on the school bus. I slipped on the first step and fell right on the road and hit my arm. Well, it hurt a little, but I still went to school. And my teacher said, "Hey, what happened to your arm?" And I'm like, "Oh, I fell on the road." And she said, "Well, why don't you go to the office and get a Band-Aid?" So I went to the office to get a Band-Aid. And the office said, "Okay, that looks pretty bad. We might have to call your mom." And I'm like, "No, don't call my mom. I'm fine." But they called my mom anyway. So they got my mom, and we went to the doctor because it had kind of dug a deep hole in my arm. And, well, this time, instead of stapling it, the doctor said he would have to stitch it together. So he got some stitches and stitched it up. And, well, and I had stitches in my arm, and then he took them out a few weeks later. Well, since then, I've been more careful because the next time I go to the doctor, he said he was going to have to weld my head shut.
Yeah, because he used every other method.
Go ahead, everyone's waiting.
When I was a little baby, I was going to turn 1, and it was my golden birthday. And, Mom made 2 cakes. One was big and one was little. And, I was so I sat down in my seat and they put a cake shaped like the one in front of me. And I had never had a cake before. So I'm like, what is this? And I dipped my finger in the frosting. I realized it was good. So I took a big handful and I ate it. And then I took another handful and tried to share it with my mom, and dad, and Mark. And they didn't want it. And I ate that bite. And Mark, and then I realized, then I had a good time smashing my cake up.
Not quite finished.
Not finished. Not the end.
The end.
Nope.
Oh, not the end. Oh.
Sorry.
And then, I realized there was a blue plate. And I picked it up to look. I lifted it too high. I dumped the cake on my hand. And I thought my mom would be mad at me. But since it was my birthday, she didn't get mad. And then later that night, I had to take a bath. The end.
Very good, Dax. Very good.
Good job, Daxter. Good job.
Say once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
When I was only 1.5.
And I was 1.5.
We went to Arches.
And we went to Arches.
And we got to the first hike.
First hike.
And Mom and Dad said, okay, Seth, you're too little. You need to get in the backpack. And I said,
I'm not going to a backpack.
that's right. No way. I'm big. And they said, oh, Seth, you need to ride in the backpack. And they said, no way. And I started to walk down the trail. And we got to the first arch. And we looked at it. And we said, ooh, ah.
Ooh, ah.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And Dad said, okay, Seth, you've got to be tired. You better get in the backpack. But I said,
no way.
and I started walking to the next arch. So we got to the south window.
A south window.
And we looked and we said, ooh, ah.
Ooh,
It's pretty.
ah.
And then Mom said, okay, Seth, you're too little to finish the hike. You better get in the backpack. And I said,
No way.
and I walked to the next arch, which was called North Window. And we looked at it and we said,
Ooh, ah.
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
And then Mark and Dax said, Seth, you better get in the backpack. We got to walk back to the car now. But I said,
No way.
and I walked all the way back to the car. And Mark and Dax and Mom and Dad said, yay for Seth. You did such a good job. And I said, that's how, because I'm a big boy.
The end.
No way.
Okay, my story has come a long, long time ago, way before any of you kids were born, and even before Aunt Brittany was born. This is a story about when Stephanie was a very tiny little baby. She had just been born, and we lived in California, which is kind of far away from Utah. And all of Grandma and Grandpa's brothers and sisters and moms and dads, they all lived in Utah. But after Mom, my mom, your grandma, had baby Stephanie, her mom and her brother decided they were going to come visit us. And so they drove all the way to California, and they stayed at our house, and we had so much fun, and we went and did all sorts of fun things. And one day while they were visiting us, we were outside playing in the yard. I think we were running in the sprinklers. That's how I remember it in this story. I know this story. And all of a sudden, my cousin, Jeremy, said, what's that? And we all looked and we saw this big thing walking in the driveway. And he ran over to check it out and he went, ah! It's a spider! And he started running around like he was crazy. And we were all freaking out and running around scared of the spider. So someone went in and got the parents, and they came out, and they looked, and they said, yep, that's a tarantula. And Grandma said, well, I'm not going to touch it, and she walked away. And my Aunt Jeanette said, I'm not going to touch it either. And Grandpa Daniel said, well, I'm afraid of spiders, and he ran out of there. So my Uncle Lynn.
I'm like, I thought he caught it in a jar.
Oh no. Uncle Lynn took the shovel and he walked over to the huge tarantula and he took a big whack and he smacked the tarantula and stuff went flying into the sky. And at first we thought it was gross the spider guts flying to the sky, but it wasn't. It was baby spiders! And they went everywhere, all over, and then everyone started freaking out and running around again. And that's my story.
I'm like,
Where Aunt Brittany was born. And it happened even before Aunt Natalie's spider story. And it's about a very special baby that was born at Christmas time. Does anybody know who that very special baby is? No?
I know.
Well, I'm going to tell you. Okay? It was 1973. That's 42 years ago. And my mom had a baby in her tummy. And that baby was me. And I was about ready to be born. And it was the night before Christmas, December 24th. And all my family was so excited because the next day would be Christmas. And they'd wake up and they'd get to they get to find all their Santa stuff, and then they get to open all their presents. And it was the best day of the year. Do you like Christmas? Yeah, they were super excited. So the next day, they woke up early Christmas morning, and they went downstairs, and they found a few toys from Santa right there, and they were so excited. And the way my family tradition works, they got to play with those toys while my mom made some breakfast. And then after breakfast, they could open the presents from all the brothers and sisters, and there were 6 of them, so there were lots of presents. So my mom went in to make breakfast, and all the kids got to play with all their Santa toys. They had a few Santa toys. Then after breakfast, they all came in and they sat down in a circle, and my dad took the first present and he handed it to my sister Debbie because she was the littlest. And in my family, he hands one to the first kid and one to the next kid and one to the next kid. And Debbie took the paper and she started to rip the paper, and my mom said, "Oh, oh." My dad said, "What is it?" She said, "I think I felt something." And my dad said, "Stop right there, Debbie." And he took the present back. And he said, "Let's wait a minute." And then nothing happened, so he gave Debbie the present again. And she started to rip the paper just a little bit. And my mom said, "Oh, oh." My dad said, "Stop right there. We're going to have to go to the hospital and have this baby." Nobody opened any presents until we did.
But they got a new baby brother.
And so
It's not dead.
they went
Not
to the
yet, that's
hospital. They drove all the way up to the hospital. And all Christmas Day, my mom went, "Oh, oh." And then early in the morning, the next day on December 26th, at 6 in the morning, a baby was born. And guess who that baby was? Me. It was me. And my dad called up and he said, "How would you kids like to come see your new brother? Grandma can bring you up." And they said, "Okay." So they all got in the car. They all drove up to the hospital. And I was just a little guy wrapped up in a blanket. You know how little babies are. My mom said, "You were just a blanket and eyeballs. That's all we saw. You had big old eyeballs." And they all looked down at me with this look on their face. And then my sister Sandy said, "Look who it is, the baby that ruined Christmas." And they're still mad at me to this day.